All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Mind the Moment for Tuesday, March 31st, 2020. This is our coffee house in the cloud, a place to build community, feel connected, and get centered. So my name is John Roberts from Harvard Pilgrim Health Care's mindfulness program, and this is Zeenat Potia, who has taught mindfulness at organizations and retreat centers in the Boston area since 2014. Good morning, Zeenat.
Good morning, John. Hello, everyone.
So, in a moment, I'll hand it over to Zena to lead us into a 10-minute meditation, which she'll then guide us through. We'll follow that by taking some questions, and we'll make sure to end a few minutes before 9 a.m. So, you'll see at the bottom of your screen that there's an option to open up a chat box. At any point, you can type questions or comments into that chat box, and we'll get to those a little bit later. You can also send a message to just Zeenat and me. We're listed there as the panelists. Or you can also post questions or comments for everyone to see if you like. And at the end, we'll point you towards some additional ways that you can get in touch with us as well. All right, so let me turn it over to Zeenat to get us started.
A very warm welcome to everyone once again. It's a pleasure to be with you. And I wanted to say that as we, in the United States at least, go into week 3 of social distancing, and for some of us choosing to isolate, I want to acknowledge what's here in the space right now, that we're all sitting with our own heaviness, if you will. And these are unusual times, they're difficult times. And our practice and our mindfulness is an invitation to be able to meet the moment, if you will, and in the best way that we can, in the ways that we feel equipped to. And mindfulness can be a wonderful friend to us. It can be a toolkit, if you like, prefer that metaphor. And to just encourage everybody to, as we go into the guided seated practice, to be very open and have an open mind to see the possibility of what this can offer you, especially right now, because it is much needed. And we come to it, we may be coming to it this morning with a dysregulated nervous system, or we may be feeling maybe a moment of calm or groundedness. You know what's going on for you, what's most alive for you right now. So as we get into our posture, see if you can contact the part of you that's most alive right now. What's here right now for you internally, not so much what's going on out there, because we don't need to talk about that. You can just open your newspaper to know what's going on, and it's not pretty. So just what's going on in here. So please, coming into a very comfortable seated position. You could even, when there's a lot of anxiety or overwhelm, the body starts to feel dissociated. So you could even, as a warm-up, just take both your palms, rub them together, and maybe just do a little bit of soft touch at the back of the neck, if that feels good to you. Sometimes just a little bit of gentle movement, arms above the head, can feel signaling to the body that we're getting ready to arrive here. And then allow the shoulders to just drape down. So we don't want to be, this is our natural heightened state of anxiety. And sometimes the invitation is to turn them back. We don't need to do either, just draping down. So there's a nice open chest area here. And the head and neck spine can align as if you were looking straight ahead. So there's no strain in the back of your neck. And then the invitation is to close the eyes, but I want to give you a choice. If you prefer to have the eyes open, please feel free. Just make sure that you have a soft, steady gaze and the eyes are not darting around your space trying to play I Spy, if you will. Not needed right now. Okay. So arriving in this moment with this mind-body experience, just the way it is, right here and right now. And you can look to see if you've closed the eyes, then looking inward, and even possible to do with the eyes open. How is the mind and heart right now? Is there agitation? Is there curiosity? Is there resignation? Is there dread? However it is, please, the invitation is to know how it is. Knowing, not from a cognitive perspective, but this is a deeper knowing. Sometimes we may not even be able to verbalize the knowing, but it's here, wanting to be seen, to be known, just the way it is. Feeling the support underneath us. So at any point in time, we're being supported. Our feet are on the ground, our buttocks are in a chair or on the floor, or if you're lying down, that's a possible posture to practice in. However you are right now, the earth is supporting us. The gravitational pull of the earth is here for all of us, holding, supporting. So releasing any extra muscular effort that's holding the body up. Softening the eyes. If there's any gripping or tightness in the chest or belly, see if you can soften, if you can relax. And then our practice is to come into the present moment over and over again. And so for our session this morning, I invite you to see what's a safe anchor right now. Where can there be a sense of home, of safety? For some, it may be the breath. The instructions are very simple. Being aware of the breathing in the nostrils, the belly, or the chest, choosing an area to focus, and then the inhale and exhale, following it over and over again. Safety for you may look like awareness of sounds, which is not so close to us physically. Sounds arising around us, arising and passing away. Or it may be sensations in the body. For the more experienced practitioners, it may just be awareness of sitting here right now and seeing things come and go, contacting them and letting go. Thoughts, emotions, planning, worry, anxiety, fantasy, they come and they go. It's not a problem. So choosing an anchor to steady, to arrive here over and over again. And practicing, if there's one thing you take away from today, I'd like it to be the attitude with which we practice, which is of utmost unconditional gentleness and warmth. So no pushing or forcing. Just this. Dedication and ease. With your chosen anchor right here and right now. Where is the mind right now? Gently leading it back to your chosen anchor. And bathing in awareness, in present moment awareness. Riding the waves. Of agitation, boredom, calm, over and over again. And now listening to, excuse me, this very short poem, staying very connected to your inner experience as you receive these words. The entire day I searched for spring, but spring I could not find. In my straw sandals, I tramped among the mountain peak clouds. Home again, smiling, I finger a fragrant plum blossom. Spring was right here on these branches in all of its glory. The entire day I searched for spring, but spring I could not find. In my straw sandals, I tramped among the mountain peak clouds. Home again, smiling, I finger a fragrant plum blossom. Spring was right here on these branches in all of its glory. This is by Wang Wai. And then taking your time, when you're ready, in about 5 seconds or so, gently opening the eyes. So just knowing for yourself what that was like. It's a useful exercise after practice to know, to get some data about the practice, about the experience. And in a way, it's, if we take a metaphor from education, it's reinforcing the learning, it's integrating the practice into our daily life and knowing what the effects are, so that when you have the urge to not practice or to choose something else, then you can remind yourself because you've had the data, you've collected the data. So thank you all for your practice. I appreciate your present moment awareness.
All right, thank you, Zeenat. We'd be really happy to take questions from folks if anyone has any questions they'd like to ask. So again, please make use of the chat box if you would like to. In the meantime, Zeenat, I was just wondering if you could talk just a little bit about the significance of the poem that you read to you, maybe where you heard it for the first time, how it moved you at that moment, or what it made you think of, anything along those lines.
Thank you, John. I'm glad you enjoyed that poem. It's a favorite and it's very seasonally appropriate right now. I heard it for the first time on a meditation retreat, a silent retreat where the theme was contentment of this particular talk where the teacher offered this poem. And for me, it really is a reminder of how we're just conditioned as human beings to look outside for satisfaction or happiness, and that we turn ourselves inside and out for external sources of peacefulness. And this very beautiful, simple evocation of this person who's curious to find something precious like spring and tramps all over the place in her sandals and doesn't find it. and discovers that spring was right here, spring was at home. And so the invitation to turn inward, and what better time than right now when the outside is so scary, and not to say that the inside is not, it could be for some of us, could be difficult. There's a lot of difficulty that we're sitting with, but how do we learn to begin to come into a wise relationship, a more open-hearted relationship with what's here? Because that's where we can find true contentment, or a sense of peacefulness, or even in very simple terms, just a few moments of calm from all the noise out there.
Yeah, I'm hearing you talking about sort of the porousness between the inner and the outer experience, and making note of that. And I really like that that idea, the sense of that. Zena, I guess so. We have a few things coming in, so I just wanted to uh, read some questions that are arriving in the chat box. So one that I think is probably not uncommon to many of us. The person says, I feel anxious, and the feeling of anxiousness is unpleasant. I try to resist it, but that doesn't seem to work. Any thoughts?
Okay, so anxiety is an affliction that can feel very overpowering. It almost hijacks us. And often the invitation in mindfulness practice is to turn toward. And I want to say that that can be a wise choice for some, but to really look at and to expand how we can work with anxiety. And you would be the best judge of that. I would say one would be, doing a mindfulness practice, learning to meet the difficulty slowly, gently, very, very kindly, bringing in practices like self-compassion. In some other instances, that may actually re-traumatize or may fuel the anxiety if we, say, turn toward when somebody has a situation that is far more complex. And so in that case, one possibility is to work with the sense doors. The sense doors, the five senses are here. They're less intimidating than an anchor, practicing with your eyes closed with the breath. See if you can, if you're feeling very anxious, use the sense doors, seeing, for instance, looking, excuse me, if you don't have the ability to go outside, looking out your window at whatever you see. Maybe it's a tree, taking that in, not as a form of escape or distraction, but make it a mindfulness practice. Listening to a piece of music for hearing, peeling an orange, the sense doors of smell. What that practice does is it brings us into the present moment, and it gives the mind something else to focus on, somewhere else to rest that is a little more pleasant, a little more tolerable. And then you can turn to more traditional mindfulness practices once you've kind of found some calm. So it's all about knowing what you can use to regulate your nervous system. Maybe if you're lucky to live with others at this time, then touch or getting a hug, finding some comfort to alleviate some of the immediate feeling of anxiety. Then you can meet it with more groundedness and strength rather than feeling completely at sea. So I hope that little thing is helpful.
Yeah, well, I liked hearing you talk about just now about looking outside at a tree, because I feel like some of us are in a position right now where our worlds seem a lot smaller, and you're reminding me that attention has no bounds. You can always bring your attention to something within your environment, even if you can't go outside and touch that tree. You can still take it in with through the sense door of your eyes. And I think this is the time to sort of appreciate what is in our immediate environment at this time when we can't maybe appreciate to the same degree as we were able to a few weeks ago the outer environment as a whole. Zena, somebody, this is a little bit related to the previous question, but somebody is mentioning having trouble sleeping, waking up in the middle of the night feeling panicked, which I admit I've had that myself a couple times recently, where I guess like not even knowing why, but just a sense of unease in the night. Is this something that you think that mindfulness practice might be able to address or work with?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. In fact, the research shows that mindfulness practice, a consistent practice, can help with chronic sleep issues like insomnia, and then also panic or anxiety induced sleeplessness issues. So I would say having some faith and trusting in the practice when you are awake, turning to cultivating a practice because you're building a skill that then you can draw upon when you are in that moment of sleeplessness. You have certain tools that you can use in that moment to again calm the nervous system. And I would say, if this is a chronic issue, when you first get into bed, just simple tips and tricks would be: don't read the news an hour before bed. Make sure you're not looking at your computer. Do something that's nourishing, that's truly strengthening for you, that makes you feel safe and secure and cared for. And just even when you first lie down, you can do a body scan practice, feeling the body lying down on the floor or mattress, wherever you sleep, just really tapping into sensations, feeling, doing mindfulness of the body lying down. Lying down is one of the postures we can practice in. And then I would say the magic or the most important thing to take on would be a loving kindness practice. Loving kindness practices are known to help us in scary, frightening times, and especially at 3 a.m. when the mind is really good at cooking up all kinds of very frightening scenarios, is you can use these phrases from loving kindness practice to embolden yourself, to strengthen yourself. And one of the phrases is, may I be safe and protected. You can turn that into a mindfulness practice to develop focus and concentration. We say the phrases, excuse me, over and over again. May I be safe and protected. May I be at ease. May I be peaceful. Just saying that with to yourself can be very soothing and can hopefully alleviate some of that sleepless feeling. And these are just kind of tips from mindfulness. And then for yourself, be extremely kind when you're using the loving kindness phrases. See if you can connect to the spirit of the practice, what's underneath it, the ability to hold the dread and the fear. So these are some tips in the limited time that we have. And I hope that they're helpful. And if you are curious about loving kindness practice and mindfulness, there's a lot of information online that you can tap into and explore on your own. Sharon Salzberg is a teacher who is really well known for teaching loving kindness practice.
Yeah, I'm really tuned into what you're saying about monitoring how much you're monitoring the news. I've been sort of persistently choking the amount I'm allowing myself to look at my news app. It used to be like, okay, I'd look at it, 3 times a day, and now it's maybe twice a day, and maybe now only once a day. Because I feel, while having so much news at your fingertips at times can seem like a good thing, sort of the endless scroll to me is like an outward replication of the racing mind. So I feel like it undoes all the work that we do in mindfulness practice in order to have to manage just like the constant, thumb flipping, as it were, through the world. But Zeenat, somebody commented that they loved the practice and the poem. Could you just repeat who the poet is? And also, are there other poets that you are going to at this time for feelings of, comfort and solace and groundedness?
Yes. So I have put the poet's name in the chat. It's called she is called Wang Wai, and she's one of the early Chan Buddhist nuns. Poets that I turn to are at all times, but especially now, that are friends to me, that are inspiring and emboldening, are John O'Donohue, Mary Oliver. I would say are the two that really feel very dear. So I would recommend both of those. And yeah.
Great. Well, Zeenat, I think I might have us start to wind up. So I'm just going to bring up a slide here. Folks might use to contact us. So first of all, let me mention that we are back with you every Tuesday and Friday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. And you can find the links to the sessions that we do on those days, sessions like this one, and other resources at our main site at harvardpilgrim.org/mindfulness. Meanwhile, you should definitely drop us a line at askmtm@harvardpilgrim.org or leave a comment on our Facebook page. Our goal here is not only to practice together, but also to learn from each other. So let us know what's on your mind. What poets are you turning to at this time? We'd love to hear about some of your favorite poems. And you can also leave us a voicemail at my personal number, which is 617-509-7047. You can rewatch this session and older sessions on our YouTube page and find guided meditations on our SoundCloud page. So I think that is all, and we'll maybe end it there. Unless, Zeenat, do you have any closing sentiments you'd like to share?
I would say that there's always opportunity to be more kind. So really take up a kindness as an intention in your day-to-day life, kindness toward yourself and towards others, because we are all in this together. And while that is true that we're interconnected, we have our own unique, excuse me, I have these frogs jumping around. We have our own unique individual experience. And so we must tend to that with as much care as possible so we can show up for our interconnected humanity. So please take care of yourselves and turn to the practice. It's here for you.
Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you again soon.